Hello everybody. In this video, I want to share with you the reality of entrepreneurship. Well, a lot of people believe that entrepreneurship will lead to a lot of wealth creation. You'll become rich. You don't need to work ever after. You will also gain a lot of popularity, fame, all that kind of good stuff. But let me tell you that it does happen, but probably for the 0.0001% of the actual startup founders. For a lot of the rest, it is a long struggle. It's like the day 3 of the test match where nothing really happens and the startup world is just that day 3 forever. Now, before I jump in and share my experiences, what I believe are the challenges, weaknesses, and the learnings, I just want to share a bit about my profile. I completed my undergrad in metallurgy from IIT Rourkela, one of the really good institutes in the country. And then I jumped into data analytics. Again, I went into data analytics at a time when data analytics was really booming and it was the career to be in. I did not know it at that point in time and I got lucky. And after that, I moved into McKinsey, worked in the US for 8 years, then did my MBA from INSEAD, and after that jumped into the startup world with a stellar profile. If you had asked me when I was in my 3rd year or 4th year of BTech, hey, this is the path that you will go ahead and create for yourself in the next 10 years, I would have loved that path. It was actually a dream for me that I did not even imagine. But let me tell you, these kind of dream paths does not really mean anything in the startup world. And what are the weaknesses of every individual? They will come to the front. And let me tell you the 3 weaknesses that I personally had and that came to the forefront in spite of all these kind of stellar achievements so far in my career. Before I jump in, again, the industry that I chose was edutech, which means I wanted to actually create impact on the ground. So when I left my job, I went to colleges, individual engineering colleges, telling the principals that I will create communication workshops. I will take 3-hour, 4-hour workshops and I will teach the kids on how to crack these interviews. But unfortunately, I had to wait 4 to 5 hours in front of the principal's office for appointments. A lot of colleges, tier 3, tier 4 engineering colleges. And even when I went into the room, they said, we will be happy to host you. Why don't you go ahead conduct a workshop, but we can't pay you anything. I still didn't charge anything, went ahead conducted a few workshops, but the attendance was hardly 10-15 people. I did this across a lot of engineering colleges just with the hope that I can actually make a change to the folks who are attending these workshops. When this was not working, I moved into the government school space, started going there, created offline events, helping folks, trying to create some kind of relationships with the government ministries, so on and so forth. But again, I did not have any connections in the government. So my lack of network in that space really impacted me. That was my weakness to start with, lack of right network. When COVID happened, fortunately, unfortunately, I had to leave all these networks and I had to start building my digital presence on LinkedIn. Well, again, this was a very long journey. I started after, let's say, the first wave of COVID, mid 2020s or late 2020s. And from that point in time, I realized that I need to spend a lot more time online. When I started spending time online, I still wanted to create a product which can help students improve their communication skills. I started working on a product, creating an app, and had 3 to 4 developers working for me. But again, I did not have any kind of coding experience. Creating an app, creating a website, this was not my strength area. I knew data science, I knew management consulting, but that's it. When I hired a team, when I started doing these things, web development, again, my weakness came to the front. It did not come out well. I spent a lot of time creating these products, but I was never satisfied. You see, technology is now being a part of almost every startup founder's journey. If you have to, go ahead, learn the basics of technology, how to create a website, how to create an app. It is almost a must for you, not just in the corporate world, but also in the startup journey. Well, I moved on and I continued just building my digital presence. At the same time, Blue Chapter is something which I started and I still run Blue Chapter to date. Now, the third weakness that got exposed severely was my lack of patience. At McKinsey and before that at Mu Sigma, it was a very fast-paced life for me. Go ahead, get the client request today, work on the document, work on the analysis overnight and submit the final version by next day morning. Work for 12 to 14 hours straight and get done with the work. That was my attitude. Work very hard. But in the startup space, even if you work hard, the results won't come in very early. You have to be patient. And if patience is not your strength and you are always rushing, I and most of the founders would not have the clarity of thought. And when you don't have the clarity of thought, of course your judgments won't be good. It is not about intelligence, it is about whether you can make the right decision or not, and for that patience is required. Now I'm talking about the weaknesses of mine that got to the forefront, which kind of delayed a lot of things for me in the startup journey. And again, these weaknesses could be different for different individuals, but don't believe that, hey, I can really crack the startup game very, very soon. Whatever it might be, it will take time and you have to be ready for that. Now, what are some of the lessons I have learned from my journey? The first thing is, because I've never raised money, I've always been a bootstrapped founder, which means I invested my money, I started so that the revenues that I was getting from my startups would then help me survive the company itself. Since I was in this model, I realized that every single rupee that I earn and also every single rupee that I spend are equally important. I never had that kind of perspective before jumping into the startup space. The second learning that I had was, irrespective of the situation, you will have more bad days than good days in the startup world. And for that, you need to have a solid support system behind you. For me, fortunately, it was my wife. She started working as soon as I moved into the startup space so that we don't have to worry about our savings, we don't have to worry about our daily spends. And her job takes care of a lot of financial needs on our day-to-day basis. You need to have that kind of support. Otherwise, make sure that you have no financial obligations. The overall objective to jump into the startup space is to make more money, but unfortunately, you cannot have obligations when you are just getting started. And that is the reason why a lot of people actually jump into their startup journeys at a very young age. And when you are into your mid-30s, late 30s or 40s, 50s, it becomes difficult because you have a lot more things to take care of. The final learning, once again, I want to repeat, is make sure you build that patience. This is a long-term game. One of my real good friends from INSEAD told me that startups typically have a tipping point. That is, your chances of success are always very, very low, but they do change and your chances of success will increase if you spend 7 years or more in the startup world. Can you really afford that kind of time for yourself? That is the biggest question that you need to ask yourself. Do let me know what you think in the comments box, but also please do share this video with the folks, with your friends, family members who are thinking about starting up very soon. They need to know the realities beyond what is publicized in the media. See you again, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.